It is a club. It's a club. It's an agency that has legal authority on the earth. Their physical human assets on the earth operate as covert agents do. So they are trained physically to operate as a spy, because what they're doing is physically illegal in the countries they're doing it in. Sometimes they are collecting children that have been named in rituals that are done with different deities, different gods being invoked, who have names that come onto the priest's lips, who they go and collect them and bring them to the coven. This is how children are fed into the Finders Club. There are other times where they send out recruiters, okay? The recruiter's job is to persuade and make an invitation to somebody who has a positional status that's not often high up in worldly terms. That tends to be somebody that is mid-level in their life before they go onto a meteoric rise. They're open and willing. They're willing to make a deal. Lots of people today will post videos of them saying, "I will sign on the line. I'll do it. Problem is they will. That's Junior Jason's. That's what I was rocked up in. But that's the stuff that's going on in amusement parks, and people are like, "Oh yeah, take my children to Disneyland." Don't freaking touch that filth, you guys. Different kingdom. Super real, deadly stuff in there. Anyways, that was the anniversary for the Jasons, like my birthday. You know, my children celebrate that as a birthday because for a personality in me, that was my birthday. That's the first time I got to assimilate into life, was on that day. That's awkward to explain to people. Normies don't like that stuff. Anyways, complex human. That night, we saw her parents. They were visiting. It was great, but I couldn't freaking walk hardly well. And I was like, dadgummit, because in the back of my head, I'm like, I got to go meet with them. I got to go to the council. I got to go. I wanted my blades back. I want to go hunt. Let's just being honest, dude. It sounds terrible to say out loud, whatever.
Welcome to the table.
Oh, freak. But there's going to be some consequences for some of these conversations. You know, there's stuff that happens after this ends that's just, it sucks. But I went home that night and Chelsea was like, why don't you just talk to me? You know, because I was obviously, a lot more of me was around than normal. You know, I was a lot more chatty. And that we used to have this thing in marriage, BC days. You remember that, before children days? Couples remember this with hardly belonging, because the sleep debt gets so real and it's just a vapor in the wind at this point.
Right now it's an idea that existed at some point.
That time. You remember when you used to have that with your wife? And you guys could just, you know, you weren't co-sleeping. You could just wherever in the house, just be rowdy and rambunctiously in love.
My routine.
That stuff. But we lost a lot of our talking time, her and I, since the chronic illness, since twin babies, moving constantly, you know. And I literally was laying there trying to ice my foot, trying to like get myself ready to go. I'm like, looking, I got to be there by 3:30. Like, I'm trying to count my hours. And she talked to me, and I just got to talk about all this stuff I never get to talk to otherwise, and just pour out stuff I've never told anyone, and recognize this woman in my life is an anchor for my soul, because there's still stuff in me that wants to go cause chaos. There's still stuff in me that wants to burn the earth to freaking ashes vehemently. And I have to surrender to a different kingdom. And the Father gave me the gift of a wife to help me be anchored in the right system of man, the right kingdom. And you know what? She is such a gift to me. And my father, back when we were early married on, moved into our house. I was a slave. He asked, I said yes. He moved into the basement of our house, and he began to draw back Jason that out of me. And with it, Nathan and Blade and all these other parts of me that he wanted to use and weaponize, because the Finders had a prophecy dictated to them with my name on it. These people are serious about their business. If you're called back, they're going to hunt you back in. And so when he came to our house, he began to teach people a couple of things that he did too. One of them is really important. He wanted me to go to a doctor, a general practitioner, and get on a drug called Nuvigil. You ever heard of this? Provigil, so. Any of these things?
Does it sound familiar? Okay.
But he coached me on basically what I needed to tell the doctor, because he's like, we're going to be keeping you awake day and night because you're going to be working for us. We got to keep this secret. Mm-hmm. So we're going to put you on a drug called Nuvigil, and you're going to tell him you have shift sleep disorder. Go to the doctor. He's going to prescribe you this drug. You're going to take this. It'll allow you to operate at 100% effectiveness with days without sleep.
That's where I heard it from last time we were talking. That's what you told me about this medicine.
Yes. So there's people. This is a family formulated compounds, stuff that comes from the biological excretions of humans, are used to make this drug.
Okay.
So it's their family business. My family profits off that. That drug, though, unlocked, bypassed the gates and the safeguards that have been built into my system to try to get these other parts of my personality to present themselves so that they could access the information, like a walking vault of secrets. They want the classified secrets for a lot of the locations of their dumps. That's what my dad wants. Super corrupt individual. He wants to weaponize it. That was what he was trying to access. The man he sent to bring that out of me, we call him TikTok with the clock. He's a hypnotist. And he climbed into the bed with me when my wife was gone and put a large clock next to my ear and began to whisper into my ears programming phrases that had been put in there when I was a child. Mm. And so while I was asleep, I began to hear him in my dreams, in my mind. And when I came to consciousness, it was as if I was back in my memories from when I was created as a boy, as a 9-year-old. And I was then divulging all the information of what he wanted to find out about. That crossed the line. Because when I came to consciousness after that, pouring sweat, blood coming out of both of my nostrils, my eyes were burning like I'd been held open and chemically held open for hours. I was filled with rage and wanted vengeance because I know who that man is. And I know where he sleeps at night. And I know where his family lives. And that's real easy to burn. That's what hemlock's for. Or monkshood. So that's the line they crossed.
And I mean, I don't remember the TikTok part of this.
I've never shared that ever publicly.
Okay, so all right. Which just triggered a line of thought in my mind, because everything has reason, purpose, naming, all that stuff. And the idea of the hypnotist, the TikTok, it makes you wonder about the whole TikTok app, you know?
It was strange when I saw that name pop up as the name for a platform. Or Meta. My wife had a dream about Metas being the name with an Ouroboros years and years and years ago.
It's really interesting. So the app TikTok was purchased years ago, but it used to be called Musical.ly. And it was just it was an app where kids did stupid music dances. It was back when I first started the podcast, and I was doing a lot. Are you familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk?
No.
He's like an entrepreneurial type guy. He's very vulgar, but he's just like, just do it, man. Just do it. Just go and do it. And so I was like in my truck, driving a truck, trying to build a podcast. I'm like, yes, just do it, you know? But he would talk about this Musical.ly app. And he's like, it's social media. Just get on it and do it. I'm like, I'm 30-something years old. I don't want to go on Musical.ly. But I was like, I'll give it a shot. And I made some kind of video. I didn't dance, though. I was just in my truck, and there was a music thing. I don't know what it was. Anyways.
Somebody find that video. Challenge accepted.
It's not embarrassing.
I know, but it'd still be fun. It's an origin point. Should be on the wall.
I could probably find it.
It's like your first dollar bill. You know, like put it on the wall, bro. Humble beginnings are good for us.
Yeah. I bet I posted it. I bet I could find it somewhere. If I can find it, I'll put it. I'll put
it on the wall.
I'm not.
It'd be worth it.
No shame in my game. But then that thing just like faded away. Whether it was actually a thing or I just didn't care about it. But this new app comes out, TikTok, and I find out that it used to be Musical.ly and it was purchased. And now what you're saying, it just makes me like, I wonder if there is a connection. I don't know, maybe not, but like, what's the point of this TikTok app being called TikTok? Why is it called TikTok? But when you consider this man being called TikTok and him being a hypnotist, well, what does TikTok do? Dude,
perfectly.
It hypnotizes
Perfectly.
people. The way you scroll, the idea of doom scrolling, I mean, it's not, I want to preface this with saying, I don't want to say it's weird in the sense that like, I think you're weird if you do this. It was weird and foreign to me because all I knew with TikTok was it used to be Musical.ly, and that's where kids hung out. But this TikTok idea that these grown adults were openly saying how they go on TikTok and they'll be lost for hours. That's hypnotism.
Yeah.
You're gone. You're zoned out. It's taken over your consciousness. And before you know it, hours goes by and you have accomplished nothing. It really, I really find that interesting.
Who's the timekeeper? Remember? Who's the guardian of time? The dragon. He's there to steal your time. This is his kingdom.
Oof.
And why does he reward and bless some technology groups and destroy and just into oblivion others? He is a time bandit. Principal measure. Because what you give your time to is what you worship. We don't use this language anymore because our pastors were neutered by finders infiltrating their ranks and teaching them the doctrines of demons rather than the authority and the commandments of the Most High. We don't understand why they're stealing our time because the currency of the future is attention, period. It won't be dollar bills. It will be minutes, seconds, That's going to be the currency of their kingdom going forward. Whoever can capture the imagination, Walt Disney's motto, capturing the imagination, like you just described so well articulated, that world, that universe that you can escape to for 2.5 hours of awesome Black Mirror staring and gazing.
Yes.
Entranced, the virtual augmented realities that will soon be given into people. That doctrine, that ideology, that dominion is their offer to the masses. It's going to be delicious. It's going to be pushing their buttons because all while they're doom scrolling, something's occupying them. Something's learning about them and building a database of that person to custom cater the offer when it comes. They're incredible intelligence agency. Like they are formidably capable. But they hold nothing in pale to omniscience, omnipresence, and the author of heaven and earth. Their dad, their father, created them. They are not eternal ones. They are immortals, and they're going to have an end date. They have nothing that holds a candle to the power and the presence of the Holy Spirit, Yahweh Elohim, our creator, and his son, Yeshua of Nazareth. The devil, bro, in his own books, you want to talk about reading crazy, cryptic, nasty stuff? In his own writings, he commanded them when he was ascending into the sky. He commanded the priests, pray. The devil, Ra, right? Ra, that's his incarnation at the time. Zeus is who he's identified in the Bible, the throne of Zeus. That's what Barack Obama stood on in Denver when he was like, the throne of Pergamon, under the white horse. When he was enthroned there. That's the devil's play place. I'm trying to tell people it's Capital New World Order, giving you all the heads up I can, right? Direct fire. Seriously. But that throne of Zeus, he literally sat on it and he commanded his priests to tell his worshipers to pray for protection for him from the two gods of the East. Why is the devil scared of two gods from the East? Who are those gods? Well, I know the story of this prophesied one who would come. He would come from the east. What did the wise men, Daniel's descendants who were carrying the riches of Babylon back to him, what did they say? We're seeking the king of the Jews. We're seeking a sign from the east. Like that's the son of righteousness who rose with healing in his wings. That is the heavenly host who he treads and fears. Every time he's fought Michael, he's lost. He tried to fight Michael for the body of Moses, like it says in the book of Jude. He lost.
Yep.
He's tried to fight. He's going to fight again. They're going to have another rebellion, and he's going to be cast down to the earth. Like, he fears Yeshua terribly. And so his priests are down here cutting themselves, ripping babies apart, sacrificing everything they have to try to build up walls of protection for him to hold up his little city in the sky. He's going to fall, man, and he's going to come down with a great crash, and with violence, he's going to execute his will on the earth because he knows his days are short, man. He's going to lose. He's a defeated enemy. Should give people hope.
Absolutely. Man, like I'm telling you, dude, like you say things and you take my mind down all these rabbit holes. And I feel like we went from TikTok to that. And I was just like, how did we get there? But it's beautiful. You know what I mean? Because my thing is, I am very big on how can we find the redemption angle in a lot of things. Yes, the world is evil. There's a lot of bad in the world, but how can we find that redemption?
Redeem the time because the days are evil.
Redeem the time because the days are evil. Yeah. Let's dive into some audio, shall we?
Jack's like,
Jack's over here laughing.
It's just a turn.
Let's take this there, bro. You need a hard time.
I don't know what to say.
Well,
that was awesome.
I literally brought it up 30 minutes ago. And if I don't make that hard left, we're just gonna do something else. Because I was like, all right, so talk to me about this pathway that you found down a tunnel system somewhere where you were talking to Apollo. Remember that time? He's like, oh yeah, of course I've known that time. And it's like 30 minutes later. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about metamaterials.
Yeah, it's crazy that you say that because
just wait.
All right, just keep it there.
Just keep it there. These are going to be our placeholders for the conversations. We're going to have to circle back to metamaterials.
Where's my notes here? I have where's it at? We have.
It's going to get rowdy.
I had some notes. It's a good thing I'm not going by them because I can't even find them.
Pen and paper, bro.
I know, right? Well, the thing is, I don't understand what I write half the time. Let's see here.
You wanted to talk about how the dragon speaks through technology?
Well, yeah,
you want to do that?
Totally, yeah. Because I got sidetracked. I was just trying to find my note. I have metamaterials in my note.
My mind is 40,000 spider webs. They're all floating in there at the same time.
Let's put on some headphones and see where this journey takes us.
Are you going to play Dragon Audio? Do you need? I can play it for you if you want.
Let me. You're going to sidetrack me again. He's going to sidetrack me again.
We'll pick that up another episode.
There we go. Please.
I'll bring it with me because it's only hard copied.
Are you talking about? I don't have ears on me.
I know. Yeah, you both don't. I don't think.
So are you talking about actual Dragon Audio, like the Dragon, not like
him speaking,
not that
him speaking.
Okay. Yep, we're going to need to do that.
Revelation 12.
Can you hear me in there?
Nope, can't hear a thing.
Okay,
I'm just existing in an echo chamber.
Maybe his headphones aren't plugged in. Maybe.
Can you hear anything now?
Testing 1 2.
I can't hear a thing.
Testing.
I'm plugged in all the way to that point, but not there.
This is all going to get cut out.
I know. It's okay. It's cute.
Unless Jack figures it up. There we go. Something.
Oh yes.
You hear yourself?
Wow, I sound great. You sound amazing, bro.
Thank you, man.
It sounds so much better.
This is what I told you.
This makes me sound better than I do in real life. I know it. This thing is sorcery.
Like that.
This sure is the best.
Giving up the headphones during these interviews was hard because of that, but
nice.
It's more fun not having the headphones on. But this is so buttery. I love it. all the
that's staying in,
Jack. Everything that just happened, just keep it in. This is raw and authentic. Give me some more juice in my headphones because I'm deaf. Oh yeah, now that's what I'm talking about. All right, so
it's a completely different experience now. I'll be real honest.
We'll take them off at some point.
No, it's okay. I'm sweating already.
But I definitely
a lot of artificial fabric on my face.
I love it. So we have. I just kind of touched on it earlier, but we had an interview that came out yesterday about hijacking dreams and how there's an actual agenda about that, and there's technology that is being developed, has been developed, that they are using to infiltrate people's dreams. One is called REM space. And to be honest with you, full transparency, I would interview the owner of that company if he said yes. I've reached out. He hasn't responded. I don't know if he hasn't seen my messages, but I would interview him because I don't want to say bones to pick, but I have questions, because the whole motivation behind him creating the company was him as a teenager, I think 16, having experiences with lucid dreams and wanting to tap into that. I don't think it's an accident. And through the conversation with you, the motivation behind it may not even be coming from him. And so there's that, but there's other companies that are developing technologies to hack people's dreams. And this whole interview is going in that direction, and Jack has everything preset, I'm assuming, but the audio, I only heard a little clip, so maybe Jack has a little bit more for context purpose, but I know I was ranting just by the tone of my voice. I was going on one of the Tony rants, and there is a voice that comes through. And Jack said to me last night when I texted him about this, he's like, I don't remember ever hearing that during the editing. So somehow this has happened between the editing and the release. So like he exports it, he uploads it, it releases, and somehow that gets put on the audio. Very bizarre. So let's take a listen, Jack.
Okay, so this is with context, just so you guys are aware. I also have an ISO version of just the voice, and then I have it slowed down as well. So I can play all three of those when you're ready.
Yeah, give us full speed first.
Okay.
But, Lindsey Graham, Hillary Clinton, they can't extract the data, but these entities can. And because you don't believe that these entities exist, because you don't believe that the other realm exists, you don't believe that these entities are actually operating and warring for your soul in the other realm continually 24/7, because you don't believe you're a supernatural being living a spiritual existence, you will never come to the conclusion that entities are extracting your brain data, going around the checkbox loophole, and giving it to nefarious people in this realm. Did I paint the picture enough? I don't know. So before you go any further, your eyes said it all. I mean, go ahead and just say whatever you're thinking.
It sounds like a demon, specifically. Not the tongue in the hush, but a demon trying to sow fear. My first encounter with experiencing this kind of stuff, where basic recordings are augmented after they're recorded, was very similar to this. One of my friends, his name was Chris, who was hosting a conference called Take on the World. This was back in 2018. I had just written my book. I hadn't published it yet. And I was doing a tour with Tom Dunn to all these sites of where all this stuff happened down in Arizona to document it before they burned it. I got a text from him. Said I was supposed to speak at that conference. That was going to be my first time going on stage, publishing my book, coming out, swinging, bro. He sends me a video over text messages. That's him filming himself doing a question and answer with somebody else about Revelation 12, and it's specifically at a point where he was recording this conversation. Everything was normal in his audio, and then when he went to listen to it later, there was a second audio track that cut him off as he talked about fire comes down out of heaven and destroys the beast in his army. Right then, his track cut off. His video was still there of him, but almost in slow motion. And there was a separate track of Nahash, of the dragon, speaking. And it freaked him out terribly, because like what you and I just felt as you're hearing that conjuring of a spirit is disgusting. It's disgusting. You're hearing behind their veil, and it's confusion and it's chaos. He sends it to me over a text, and it's 12 gigabytes when I open it, which is impossible over a text.
That's ridiculous.
But when he sends it, it looks like a short clip, just a couple of 30-second clip. But when I open it, it's many, many minutes long. And it's literally the Nahash threatening, like literally railing accusations that he is going to win in that battle, that he is going to destroy the one who comes to contend. Like, it is him proclaiming the opposite prophecy against that and threatening Not just Chris, but all of those who are trying to be a resistance to his army. That's what's in that clip. And that was the first time I was shaking uncontrollably when I first saw it, because he said it was creepy. I don't know what creepy means to him. I got a different level of creep. And when I heard that, I just started shaking uncontrollably, because I've not heard my that father's voice in a long time. Terrified me, because I knew it was a threat. I knew what I was on the precipice of doing was destruction against his house. And he was warning me, don't. And I went there. And I shared my first ever time on a stage there, and I played a segment of that clip so people could understand this is what we're dealing with. This technology that you and I are using and don't think a whole lot of is a form of sorcery. At its roots and foundations, the means of communing with other realms, other entities through the air is a divine right that was practiced through ritual magic, incantation, prayer, meditation, through all these other means, up until the time came when these demons specifically began to teach mankind how to make devices to talk to them. The first images ever used on like a television screen that you and I think of today were the Knights Templar's cross. They were literally channeling these spirits to give them technology to help them have access to their realm. But it was a two-way street, and they were being manipulated because there's obviously levers to pull on somebody to make them give them what you want. They wanted a form of technology. Most of the time it's military or it's for financial gain. And that exchange is what has progressively been building this technology that we have. This is the interface communications platform that these entities now use to get their voice in. And it started right away from the beginning. You can backplay music and hear speech. Even when people are normal singing gospel Christian songs, you will still hear other speech coming in backwards. And it's not always demonic sounding. It's not always evil. But when you start playing some of this music backwards, you'll find this artifacts of this phenomenon going on all over the place. This technology, like there was a technology company that I was doing security for, and they were getting their data storage devices, petabytes of data storage, huge. But that's the beast currency for them. It's going to be data storage. That They got the design plans from lucid dreaming and from talking to aliens, entities that came and visited them, that showed them and it helped them crack problems they were having. They were doing ritual, not the same kind of voodoo creepy stuff that people would think of, but they were communing with them under a man who was much more the handler of this group, who was an adept in these organizations. And he was teaching them, oh, here's how you can take this psilocybin mushroom. Here's how you can take these different compound supplements. And here's how you structure yourself with fasting and with sleep deprivation. And so that you will have these interactions. That was where their technology for this data storage had its origin points. But that's just one little tiny drop in a big bucket of the story of the chain of custody for where much of our technology has come from. CERN, there's a reason CERN is the developers of the internet you and I are using to communicate to people all over the world. They sit on top of they sit under the temple of Apollo. Their job is to unlock that gate. They want to bring him out and to raise their destroyer to the earth. That is their agenda. They developed the technology that you and I are using now and gave it to people, but long ways down the line. The military, by the time they're done with the technology, it's 40 years after the fact. Then they're going to give you wristwatch AI computers. I saw them in 2006.
Really?
You know, this stuff they give to us is their leftovers. It's the microwave oven after they're done building microwave weapons and nuking people with them.
Yeah. Once it's irrelevant and not usable on their end, that's when they give it to you.
When they have something far beyond this.
Yeah. So you mentioned before we hit that recording, and then you just mentioned this. Are you referring to that recording that you were talking about? Is that the recording that you're referring to before, or are we talking about you have two different recordings?
I have three.
You have three recordings with them talking.
The other ones were when I spoke at conferences.
Really?
One in Canada when I spoke at a conference.
Did other people hear it, or was it just caught on the recording?
It was on the recording. So I spoke at a conference in Canada called Quest for, I think it's called Quest for Truth. Oh no. Dying to Save a Life is the name of the video on my YouTube channel. You can watch that talk. But when I filmed it, I had 2 cameras. I've had to learn how to do 2 or 3 of everything now since then. Mm-hmm. But when I filmed it on my phone and on a standalone camera. And when I looked at it on my phone after the conference ended there in Canada, it was completely normal. I watched it. But when I got on the airplane and began to watch it as I was flying back home, it was 6 hours long. And I'd given like a 40-ish minute speech. And I was like, what the heck? And when I got to a part where I was specifically talking about Revelation 19, when I was starting to hit on the judgments of the dragon and talking about that, my whole video goes into slow motion in my video. And underneath is a completely different audio. And it sounds like the dragon from the tunnel, but as if he had chains attached to him. And as he's moving, these chains are dragging behind him. As it genuinely sounds like he's in a prison cell. It sounds like he's in a prison cell or in a chamber, like he was when he saw me last, you know? Yeah. And it was just threats and violence and reviling, just enraged, like utter betrayal, warning me, I am going to gut you for what you've done. Just violence. And he fulfilled that, man. I nearly died not a month later. It was almost punched my ticket.
Yeah, but he didn't fulfill it the way he wants to fulfill it.
No, right? But I still have 5 holes in my stomach from where I got wrecked with hernias that have never been fixed. My spine is still crooked. I still can't walk and stand upright. You know, I'm still pretty freaking damaged goods, you know?
Yeah, but you could still turn to him and just give him like the old... give him the Trump wrong.
Still
man,
scary, bro.
No, I believe it.
It's a lot harder when you've seen these people face to face. When you've like these are not small things to trifle with.
And that's something that I've
not seen my creator face to face. You understand? I've physically witnessed the fallen a lot. I've not seen the face of my Redeemer. It's a lot easier to believe they exist when they're threatening you to your face. It's a lot easier to have faith when you've seen them. But blessed is the one who believes even if he hasn't seen.
Yeah. Wild stuff. I've been in this like last year, just been this educational state of existence. And I realized that by releasing the episodes, which I don't regret, by the way, and even the vocalization we just heard, we'll go back into that in a second. But like, no fear, right?
That's in the episode that you published.
Yeah, it's on there. Everybody's heard it. I had no idea it was there until people were just tagging left and right. And usually, I said this before on the show, but like, if it's 1 or 2 people that say something, like, you're probably hearing things. When I have dozens, I'm like, maybe I should listen to that.
Probably go back and check that episode out and see what happened in there.
And yesterday was a very busy day. A lot of stuff at home with the wife and stuff. And I was like, I'll get around to it. And I forgot until I hopped on X and I saw I was tagged and somebody screen recorded. It's like I was just hit play. And I was like, dang, that's interesting. But I've realized that part of spiritual warfare and things like that is when you're operating in the call that you're called to do. My calling is different than yours. Yours is different from the next person. I'm being called to expose these things through this venue. By doing that, though, you're poking these things in the eye. You're poking them. You're poking them.
You're draining their battery.
That's a great way to view it.
They don't like that.
And I've noticed.
And eventually they'll die. Like they will run out of juice, bro.
I've noticed.
They'll be left wandering the desert.
And okay. So you're really giving me like the imagery that I need to understand, you know?
Yeah. Pull their plugs, bro. Keep going.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like if I've been commissioned to do by the Almighty, I don't fear the ones he's commissioning me to go against. It's just the way it is. I'm backed by God, you know?
The enemy fire is always strongest when you're over the most sensitive targets. That's what I looked at that threat as. And
So-
you should look at this similarly.
For sure.
Like lots of enemy aircraft, anti-aircraft fire coming in at us. We got to stay on target. That kind of situation.
Stay the course. Stay the
There you
course.
go.
So like, and this, I'll use the example, and then we'll go back whenever we get back to the audio. But like,
There's another one. There's more.
Well, yeah, he wants to kind of play the variation of it. But so like okay, so Lindsay, when the diagnosis came in with her cancer, I was a mess. Like my heart was broken. And then my natural reaction was, I called people and I said, I think we're going to need to pump the brakes with the podcast and go on cruise control. We're going to just, we're going to do what we need to do to stay afloat. But I don't have the time. I'm not going to have the energy to put into the show. I need to be focused at home. Wrong. Because since her diagnosis and coming to that, it started before that, but so did the diagnosis. We just didn't know it at the time. Like there's a storm brewing in her, which is, I believe, a spiritual thing for sure. And it's meant to be a distraction and to pull away from what God's doing. There's been this thing brewing that God's been doing and revealing a new chapter of the call to me, like evangelism, preaching. He's surrounding me with pastors that are like showing me like how to do certain things I just don't know how to do. And then the diagnosis comes in. I'm ready to pull the plug and just say, guys, very mid. Let's just, and I even said it on the show. I think when I talked about it to people, when I first announced what was going on, I said, I don't know what this means for the show. The show's not ending, but I don't know how often I'll be around. I even called some people. I talked to 2 of my friends about stepping in and hosting the show for me for a while. And in the middle of that storm, we just started experiencing an explosion everywhere. Like it's like God was like, I know what you're experiencing, but it's because of what I'm about to do. And we're just like, and I tell everybody the same thing. I don't know if this season that we're in is a temporary season, if it's a short season, or if this is an extended period of time. But right now, as I'm sitting here with you, I think in the last month and a half, the YouTube channel has grown like, I want to say like nearly 50, 60,000 subscribers. All platforms we have are experiencing growth. And that's just the growth side of things. Like there's the whole spiritual side of things that God's doing. That's clear. Like I literally just it wasn't a phone call. I got a text message from a former coworker today that I hadn't talked to in a while. And he just kind of poured himself out to me a little bit. He's like, I'm not a religious person. My life is really kind of falling apart. And I sent him like a nearly 20-minute voice memo just on the way in here today, just kind of like pouring into him and trying to share with him like how God has plans for his life. And if he starts stepping into what God created him to be, he's going to find joy and fulfillment that he never could have experienced anywhere else. And his life circumstances built him into this person that he is today, but that's not the image that God had intended for him. And but all these little things been popping up that weren't the most typical. And it's just like, it's clear that God has been really like taking the ship and doing a hard left on certain things. And I think that what we're experiencing in the personal side of thing with Lindsay and stuff, it's been meant to be a distraction. My wife ain't dying.
Hallelujah.
She's not dying.
Hallelujah.
And she's going to be healed. And so like we're not operating in fear.
Yeah.
And I was just reading yesterday in Mark 8, how it just kind of hit me. I think I texted my pastor like 11:30 at night because I was just like, it just hit me. So like Jesus spits on the blind man's eyes, right? And he can see, but the trees, we talked about that earlier, right? But like the whole thing is like, I said to my pastor, it's almost like Jesus was showing us that healing is a process at times. Could Jesus have healed him right away? Of course. He didn't have to move. It's done. How many times the woman who said that her daughter was demon possessed, and he's like, because of your faith, she's good, and just go back, she's done. He didn't do it. He's just like, hey, it's done. You're good. But he showed this idea of this man is blind. He can see, but people look like trees. And he puts his hands on again, and he can see it. It's like this healing process. And that's where I'm looking at Lindsay. It's like, listen, this is a healing process we're in. We're in the process right now. At any moment, today, tomorrow, next week, whenever, that process can be over. That's the way I'm looking at it, So anyways, let's talk about some other spooky sounds. Jack, I don't know how I got on that.
Such a beautiful testimony, though. But I'll just say, man, there's a tremendous growth and maturity that's happened to you in the last year in particular. You're a very different man than the first time I sat down with you.
I appreciate that.
You really are. You were timid about the gospel at that point in your life, which is, I understand. I was very timid about the gospel for a lot of years of my life. I rarely even read the word out loud on stage or in shows. I was still battling that. But to see suffering has produced a good fruit in you and your wife, and it's produced what's been germinating inside you guys, which is great faith, great boldness. But those are the fruits of the Holy Spirit. Those are the actual things that hang on the tree that allows others to inspect what it is you're doing. What are your real motives? And you being tested in this matter has been such an abounding revelation to everybody else watching that you guys are anchored in a righteous foundation, and you are not moving. You're the immovable objects.
Yeah.
That's a real thing that the enemy encounters, that are unstoppable forces. That's what we are all made to be. We're called, in the scriptures, the word is Gibor or Giborim. Like when Gideon's grinding grain in the wine press, and the angel of Yahweh comes to him and is like, "Hey, Gideon, you Gibor, you mighty man of valor." And he's like, "Say what?" Not trained in war. And he's like, "I'm going to command you to lead an army and completely eradicate your enemies." You're like, somebody else? I got other brothers, bro. They're better. You got other options out there. And he's like, "I want you to tear down your father's idols and burn them with fire." He's like, "Can I ask my friends to help?" He's like, "You betcha." He sees us. He sees warrior. He sees his special forces becoming Gibborim. That's like the series that I started many years ago when COVID was launching itself. And I thought, it's go time, baby. Let's teach them everything. Let's teach them the way of the blade.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to teach you guys about bronze weapons and all kinds, and about the Bible, but about bronze weapons too. But that boldness that rises up in men when they're tested, that's evidence of a different kingdom. Because what I see rise up in men who compromise is shame and guilt and bondage and fear.
Yeah.
That's what comes out of them when they're tested. But this is the distinction that is so powerful. The kingdom of righteousness is that when we experience the crushing of the refiner's fire, when we experience the loss of our normal, what we give is fractured parts of ourself to our King to fill up and cleanse and fortify, amalgamate into something that is pure and strong. Because it takes a lot to go from this to this. This is how you get iron. This is hematite. This is an amazing mineral. Lots of other stuff in there too. But to go from this to carpenter tool steel, CTS, XHP, fashioned into a blade, I took this one from a piece of metal and chunks of wood with Patrick from MT Knives. Amazing knife guy. I always wear his knives. Let's talk knives for a second. We'll get back around to it. The Genesis neck knife. This is one he makes. Freaking beautiful. Sharpest knife you'll ever get in the mail. I love him. I have no sponsorships. I'm not for sale. I just love stuff that I love, and I'm evangelize it to the nations. Anyways, I went to his house. I lived in his driveway like a bum, just hoping that he'd teach me how to make a knife. I'd be like,
"I'm still here.
Oh, please stop." Anyways, I've wanted to make this knife for a long time. Long time. But to go from a process where you start with something so basic, so ordinary, and to end up with something so extraordinary is incredibly challenging. Takes tremendous amount of work, a tremendous amount of time and resources and skill and instruction, because you're going to put this thing through the fire over and over and over again. You're going to grind it away. You're going to change its nature. You're going to alter it to where it's unrecognizable as what it once was. This was a piece of a tree, an olive tree. That's what it was, growing, like this little guy. At some point in its life, that's all it was. And now I live with it on my chest. That's a completely different thing. This little coin that you see inside here was a gift that somebody gave me. That's a widow's mite. Ever hear that story where a woman is standing at the temple, makes an offering, and all she gives are these 2 little mites? It's the smallest copper coin that was in the currency of circulation at the time. That's what these are. These are widow's mites, is what they call them. She gave these tiny little coins into a big chest that would jingle when people put lots of money in there and make everyone, oh my, their tithe is quite prodigious these days. Whereas she gave everything she had, and she gave so much more.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's what's he asked of us.
Yeah.
He's asking of us to give everything we have to him. He's actually inviting you to give him everything in your life. That's called sovereignty. That's a different requirement. That's not often what's preached to us in the gospel message, but we are inviting him to be the complete ruler of our lives, to where if he says, I'm going to take your family, all of them, I'm going to take everything you have and leave you destitute, will you still follow me? That's quite an invitation. That's very different than, I'll give you power to kill your enemies. That's pretty easy to sign on that line. You know, but his offer is pure. He is the one who can take weak men and wounded women and make them into the most powerful fighting force that's on the earth. And it's amazing to get to see that rising up. The Father's raising up his remnant. And it's beautiful to see it coming to take place.
I agree. I see it everywhere too. And like I think I was telling you before we started recording, kind of like the process mentally for me on that whole thing, which was like I knew God called me to do the podcast. I did the podcast, and throughout the entire existence of the podcast, there was no mistake in my mind. I've said it countless times. The only reason why this thing is successful is because God blessed it, because I was an entrepreneur beforehand. I've had several different businesses, and I've failed at all of them. And honestly, I'm failing at this one if it wasn't for the hand of God on it, because like, I'm terrible. That's why I had to hire a manager, because I was like, I don't know what the heck is going on, man. But like, in this process of revelation, when it came to so when I first started the podcast, I didn't have a clear understanding or call as to what my task was, other than start the podcast. And so that's what I did. And we started collecting people's stories, and I'm like, okay. And I'm dealing with social rejection from my local church. You know, and I say social rejection because it's not like they said, stop doing this or you're going to hell or anything like that. It was just this socialization that dwindled. And if there was socialization, it was talking about this show, but in a tongue-in-cheek manner. And so I started, like, I was really struggling with, like, I know what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to do, but I don't want to misstep and do something that's going to dishonor God at the same time. And then countless times throughout the show's existence, I felt that way. I felt like, ugh, I think I messed up. And I deal with these battles, these internal battles. Like, did I just jack something up? Is this over? Do I have to pay the piper now? And all this stuff, you know? And I do believe that there are times that I've said things on the show that I regret. But thank God that his grace covers that. And I ask that he just erases those bad things that I've said from people's memory, because even though it's on record, obviously, but like, it's just like, for instance, one thing that's in my mind is in the early days, because of my social rejection, I had stopped going to any kind of corporate meeting of the body. I was like, I can do this growth myself spiritually. Heck with everybody. And that was a mistake. I need the unity. I need the communion. I need the community of people. I didn't believe that it was out there. I didn't believe that people were out there. And I would vocalize such things on the show in the early days, you know, in a sense, like I really was rough.
Yeah.
Rightfully so on some things, but I was very bitter towards the church. And so throughout the show's existence, I've come to understand that as much as, we're, Jack, how many episodes are we into? 750 or 60?
65.
765 episodes in. Like, we have different guests, you know, this is your third time on the show. But I'm the main consistent thing here, you know? And so it is about the guests, but it's also about my journey through this stuff, especially with the topics we're dealing with. We're not talking about a comedy podcast. And you know what I mean? Like, so
heavy stuff.
It's heavy stuff. And I'd have to be literally mentally held back severely if I'm not changing perspectives on things as I discover things through people's experiences. And I found myself over the last like 2 years really hitting a thing where I'm like, I don't know if I can keep going status quo on this show. Like it was, you know, tell me your story, you know, and that's what it, you know, we do that. But like, there's a deeper reason here. And God was starting to really show me there's something else going on here. And I got to a point where I was like, I would be extremely disingenuous if I didn't just follow my conviction on this. I would be a fake host of this show, which is what I didn't want to be when I first started. When I first started, I was like, should I be the shticky guy? You know, should I have a shtick? And I even thought about changing my name, which sometimes I wish I would have been like Juan Diaz or something, because like, I don't like the fact that people know my name and that they can just find me because I've dealt with that crap.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't want to be something that I'm not, because my fear was that that would work. And then I'm trapped in this cell that I've built for myself. And so I found myself circling back to that same thing where it's like, I'm at a crossroads right now. And and though the audience doesn't know what I know, because I had that story that I was talking about earlier, 692 episode, Dark Shift, like I had that 3 years ago. I knew that story. And then I'm having all these other revelations. The audience didn't have that story yet. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, this is deep and this is strong spiritual warfare. And the more I started learning and the more people are coming to me saying, hey, I'm being recruited, this, that, and the other, I'm like, I can't pretend I don't know the things that I know.
That's right.
And I was like, God, Jesus, take the wheel. And I was just like, let's do this. And it's just been this shift in the show as me as a host, because I was just like, I got to just stay authentic. And 8 years ago, I was authentic. And as I learned things, I was authentic. When I learned some big things, I had to make big decisions to still be authentic. And I started realizing that I was toying with that line when I started feeling like in my everyday life, I'm not the same guy that I am on the microphone, because there's this shift happening. And in my everyday life, I'm very evangelistic and just like, that's who I am. And then I started feeling like, I feel like when I turn on the microphone, there's a tampering down of that. And I don't know if that's good. And especially with the things that I've learned, I don't think that's good. I think people need to know this stuff, whether they like it or not. And the more I wrestled with that, the more I was just like, I'm done with this crap. I'm just going to be who I am. And this means that like the evangelistic side of me of 8 years ago is magnified even more now. Like, cause now it's like before it was like, hey, Jesus loves you. And I'll tell the world about that. And now it's like, Jesus loves you. Hey, and also there's a war that you were born into. And there's an enemy out there that's trying to destroy your soul every day. Their sole purpose is to destroy you. Come to Jesus. You know, it's just like, but like that's there was a shift in me. Anyways,
became a recruiter. See, he's got his own finders club. The Father has his own.
Oh,
you know, we talk about the enemies, but he's got his own.
The CFC, Christ Finder Club.
He hunts the souls of men too. You know,
oh man,
just does it in a different way.
Yeah,
it's an invitation.
Yeah,
you know.
But anyways, I wanted to go down that road a bit, because what you just said, it was an open door for me to actually go into some detail about that. It's not the most organic way to do things at times, but you brought that up, it allowed me to do that. So thank you for that.
It's beautiful. But I think you mentioned something that was actually the prerequisite that was required, which was your repenting for the sin that you had being embittered towards the body, the church.
Oh yeah.
And I distinctly had deep wounds about that. If you read my book, there's some bitter pain that comes out about the church because I was raised in the Christian church all during every freaking day of this. My family were go to church is the religion people, and even with bringing grandpa into the church, pedophile next to me, pastor's blind, can't see him, can't discern it, ravaging my life. My pastor's coming into my room and taking what was most precious to me because they thought that thing was demonic. A poster I had of a T-Rex popping out of a wall. That was my nightlight. It glowed in the dark. It was just like sacred object of mine. One of the few things that gave me some kind of thing to hold on to when I was being abused at night. And the pastor from a very charismatic church was brought in to try to do a deliverance because of having night terrors, screaming my head off at night. They moved my great grandpa into our house so I could be his bedmate. Sold me to him. And I was losing my mind, freaking losing my mind. Because now, before it was out of the house stuff, and now it was in the house stuff. And it was like there was a sanctity to my bed. That's a big freaking deal to me. Always has been. I don't care what kind of bed I'd sleep in dog loos with dogs. That was my bed. Hammocks. I slept in a hammock my entire senior year. Like, I don't care what it is. I want a space that's mine. Something. I'll crawl into a freaking ditch. I just need somewhere to lay my head and rest for a minute. And they violated that. And I was coming unglued. And they brought in this pastor and he walked into my room and like all the blood drained out of his face. He was terrified at the felt presence of the demonic that was in that room.
Okay.
I could tell the guy was about to get his lunch eaten. You know what I mean? Like I genuinely believe he loved the Father and he loved Jesus and he was doing his best. But behind him were two men that were such powerful and capable Luciferians. And they were bringing him in for a spectacle.
Wow.
Like, that's my understanding of the church. And as he walked around in there, he was horrified at my bed, but he just looked around and they kind of pointed out the poster. They're like, maybe it's that. And he's like, yeah, it's that.
Definitely.
Definitely that. And it's like not the guy's bedroom that's on the other side of it, that freaking Grandpa Don. That they took that poster and crumpled it up and threw it in the trash. And I had to drive by that thing the next morning, and he freaking raped me that night. That's mind control. That's mind control. That's the kind of filth they do to set you up so that you think the pastors at the church are weak. That's what it did to me. I realized that whole event, that setup they did there wasn't really about any of that. It was to make me look at pastors and the church as a place full of cowards. Don't go there. You want to find warriors? Come to us. We'll teach you how to hunt. I never had a pastor teach me how to hunt the souls of men. What the heck?
Yeah.
Like, should be day one. Welcome to the team, son.
Yeah.
You're going to war. Yes. I want that guy.
Yeah.
I want that guy. I want somebody that's going to knife hand somebody in the throat and teach him the gospel. I need that. I frankly need that. I just need to see it on stage at least once. Just straight to the throat. Drop that guy. Holy Spirit fire on him. That's the Benny Hinn I wish he was. You know what I mean? Like, where the heck is that Holy Rollers team? They were the power team guys. I need that. Yeah. I need that because I'm on fire inside. Yeah. I burn day and night and I need something to burn down.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like that. My wife always laughs when I say burn it down. She always laughs, right? I'm like, honey, I don't think you get it. I'm looking for nuclear weapons. She's like, oh, got that look in your ass. I'm like, I want them. I want to watch it burn. I don't even know if they're real. You know what I'm saying? There's that whole thing. Just saying. Anyways.
Birds are fake too.
Birds are fake. They're drones. Dinosaurs aren't real. I've gone down all the rabbit holes, son.
Oh my gosh.
But I had such a bitterness in my heart about the church because I yoked them to cowards, yoked them to easily manipulated. I yoked them to betrayers of trust. I told pastors I was being abused and they told the abusers. Spit on them.
Yeah.
I had a lot more flowery language for them.
Yeah.
I wanted to murder them for that betrayal. I suffered so much at the hands of the church. But I also heard the gospel there. And that was my family. And I also was given much there. I had people feed me. I had people clothe me and shelter me and harbor me. All along the way, he sent his beautiful body to sustain me and nourish me along when I was dying of despair. He'd send me a harbinger of hope. He was so gracious to me because his body is real. They're real people that genuinely have the Spirit of God in them. They are not like these monsters. Mm-hmm. They have love. They have love even for their enemies. They're unlike any other thing I've ever encountered on the earth. And over the course of my life, I have literally got to see by changing covenants, by going into covenant with Yahuwah and repenting of my bitterness for the church and asking him to cleanse that area of my mind and have a love and a respect for them again. It's like these scales of pride that were on me, because ultimately that's pride, fell off, and I'm able to see the church, the body of Messiah, with this beautiful lens of what effective work they're doing. Like there's people that took my wife and I in. Listen, I gave up unimaginable amounts of an inheritance to try to do this path this way so Naomi could have freedom and my children could know what it's like to not wake up in that crap like I did. But and that kind of leaves a mark on you, and you kind of have an expectation. Like, I believe by my 30th birthday, man, I was supposed to have the keys to the kingdom and go freaking drive, and I was going to burn everybody down that was on my kill list and bless everybody that was on my blessed list. That was like what I'd been built up to do. And instead, I was in a Walmart parking lot on my 30th birthday in an RV living on the run. Like, well, that's quite a letdown.
Yeah.
I survived for this, anonymity, obscurity, and waste. But the people that opened their doors to us and took us in and sheltered us were the lowliest among men. Some of them had great means, many of them did not. And they sacrificed what little they had to give us life. One of those people, Adam Wegman, Adam, the first man on YouTube, check him out. He's the one who put these widow's mites in this knife for me. He's a great jeweler. But he traveled in a school bus with us, my family. He converted a school bus and went on the road. And we lived alongside them for 6 months. And do you know what that did? We had companionship. We had what you just described when you gather together with other people and the Spirit is there. Like, you're like, wow, I have accountability in my life. So I'm not just a lone wolf doof just running amok out here. Like, I actually have a brother in arms. And when you pray together, it's this force multiplier. And you're like, we should do that more often. And they're like, I should do that more often. Like, they labored in the trenches of black tanks and poop everywhere and no electricity and laundry and all the crap that happens with On the Road that looks real great on the Instagram, but stinks like death inside there, man. Like, they sacrificed everything to try to follow the calling of their king. They gave up everything. And I'm just so addicted to loving these people now, because I've seen meekness is power under control. And then when it's in your power to push the button to burn the earth to ash, you instead send out your army to minister love. That's freaky stuff. That's nothing like what the way of it is, of the kingdom of darkness is. But that's exactly when they ask Elijah, they're like, hey, Elijah, we got the whole army's blind. He just, boom. He just hit him with blindness. 180,000 people. He's all like, boom, you're all done, son. They all like came there, to kill him. And he's like, I know you came here for that, but you're going to leave blind. You're going to leave blind. They're all wandering around, and he leads them back to the city where all the rest of the army of Israel is. And the commander of the army is like, oh yeah, baby, sweet slaughter time, right? And he's like, no, here's what you're going to do. You're going to feed them. You're going to clothe them. You're going to bless them. And then you're going to send them home. That's mercy. Straight up biblical level mercy. And you know what they did is they didn't create another generation of iniquity. They drained the battery bank, the kingdom of darkness, and they filled those men with love, because the greatest love that exists is to love one's enemies and to have mercy on them, to spare their lives. I have stared at some of these men with my blade at their backs, ready to hunt them and kill them. And I have been given a perspective on them that did not come from me, and given them mercy. I see and understand that I was not born to take life. I was born to give it. Nathan means giver, the gift. I was born to bring the words of the covenant to life. That's what I was here for. You have been given a calling to bring these words to life, to bring these stories and these testimonies, these confessionals that others, we sit in silence and obscurity. We have no voice. We are here to be voices for the voiceless. I'm a pail drop in a big bucket of blood where people are wailing and weeping every night, desperate for somebody to hear them, someone to save them. They are desperate for their voices to be heard, and their whole life they've been told to shut up and go away. But you know what? We're going to cry all the louder, Jesus, Son of David, have compassion on me. They told him to shut up. We will not be silent. And you know what? If you try to silence us, these stones will cry out. Glory be to Yahweh forever and ever. He's coming, and he will come with wrath this next time, and you must turn to be saved.
Nathan, that's why. I don't even know how to respond to that. You just perfectly depicted that warrior, the warrior's heart that has been birthed in you, and that's what I was talking about earlier. I mean, it's like the idea that God built us and created us for an image that He has designed, and the enemy takes it and perverts it. I mean, it's really played out so beautifully with you. I mean, literally, you are a warrior. You've been designed to be a warrior, and they hijacked your design for their purposes. And the redemption story now is that the rest of your life is wartime, fulfilling what you've been created to do, but through the means that He has designed for that to be. And you were talking about earlier the draw to go and use the blade, but you're doing it the Lord's way. Like, and if you would have gone and done it the old way, like, I forget how you described it, but like, it literally is like, it's stepping down a level, you know, like it's not even as effective as the way the Lord has called you to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like choosing to show up to a gunfight with a knife, you know, or in your case, it might be actually
that.
Never mind. That was a really bad example. Showing up to a nuke fight with a BB gun, you know,
trying to go after a sniper with a knife. That's a thing. It's scary,
enjoyable. But I think that what you are depicting through your sharing is that from day one, you were born a warrior. It's just in that sandbox, it was hijacked. You know what I mean? And it's cliche and sometimes even annoying to hear Christians say this, but God does turn all things for His good, right? So
the saving of many lives.
It's you think you're just so far beyond correction and it's just not true. It's just not the truth.
Absolutely.
So
there are so many wounded ones who are like that. There's so many people with split personality, mind controlled, broken personalities, dissociated, fractured, wounded ones. There's hundreds of millions of them now. And they are some of the most beautiful, incredibly intelligent, capable people that have ever been. But the enemy saw them like Terminator and the generals in his enemy's army. And he went and shattered their youths. You know, Gray, there's a guy who, he's organizedSafety.org.
Yeah.
He says, this is what is on my water bottle. Go for the head, break the cycle. Mm-hmm. He's got a serpent, the dragon with his dagger, beautiful dagger. He's a dagger worker like I was.
Is he? I've talked to him here and there, and
his network of what he's doing to try to dismantle this empire is so brilliantly done, because it's a way of reporting these things that have happened to survivors or victims, where you can report it anonymously, organized safety, and you can report it anonymously and tag its location, and then it will be independently corroborated if somebody else also shares that the same individual, same places and locations. It builds a terrain map and allows them to be able to take legal action against people, because we have multiple corroborating witnesses of people that didn't have any way of knowing that
There's
information.
No connection.
Yes, it's one of the best ways of trying to bring it out, because I can't sit here and go through naming, like a hypothetical person, like a Richard Allen White as the military handler for my family. But if I wanted to try to name some kind of hypothetical person, I would potentially have to suffer the legal consequences of doing that. But that if you want to report it, you can use something like that. And it allows people to be able to go after it. And there's such brilliance that's contained inside the minds of survivors for ways of fighting, the true warriors, like incredible warriors, because people that have been through this level of depravity, people that have seen Baal Hadad face to face, people that have cut the throats of their enemies because they're so zealous for their convictions are the greatest sellouts for the kingdom of darkness. But when they're redeemed, oh my gosh, they become Paul. They become Moses. They become men of mightiness and renown that tear asunder the kingdom of darkness, that take hammers and smash the idols of their fathers. Like Gideon rose up in the night. He took 10 of his servants and he broke down the idols of his father's house. They were the whole city used to do sacrifices and ritual magic in his front yard. That's what his dad was into. Disgusting stuff. But he broke it down and burned it. And you know what? That took such bravery. That's the kind of thing that is available to those that will call upon our Creator and ask Him to deliver you and heal you, no matter what level of fracturing you've been, from the highest of heights of the upper echelon of elites to the bottom rung of our society. Every man, woman, and child was made and born for a purpose, to tear down the kingdom of darkness. For this reason, the Son of God was manifested to destroy the works of the devil. That's what we were born to do. That's the invitation that's waiting on the table. Sign on that dotted line. You don't have to sign in your blood. Someone already did. He owns you. It's whether or not you accept His gift of life and salvation. He will raise us from the dead. When we die and we wane and we wax old, we will live again, and we will live without a memory of the nightmare. We will live and rejoice forever because our King is here and our Father will rule and reign forever.
We're wrapping it there. That's the show. Drop
the meta material.
Like,
walk out.
We don't need to listen to any other sounds and stuff. That's a wrap for this session. And I call it a session because we will do other sessions with Nathan at some point down the road. I mean, how long have we been recording, Jack? 3 hours. That's good enough, I'd say.
Sweet introduction.
Yeah. Welcome to Nathan Reynolds, everybody. No, how can we not end on that, right? That note. Why take it a different direction at this point? Let people know where they can find more about you.
You bet. You can go to snatchedfromtheflames.com. That's the book. That's the dragon, by the way. Like, my wife drew that.
Oh, really?
Because I tried to help her. That's what I saw. That's there. He lacks his armor because I've taken his armor, son. I didn't. The King of Kings did. I read the book, and it's bad for him. Anyways, snatchedfromtheflames.com. I've got an audiobook there, PDF. Name your own price. Don't let price be an issue, guys. I've got an entire dramatized recording of the audio scriptures, way more important than my book. You can download that for free there. And I also have prayer resources, which were the most critical component in my wrestling with this battle, is prayers from Dr. Michael Lake and Mary Lou, which are in the back of my book. They're also free on the website, that are good for trauma and fragmentation, people morning prayers, evening prayers, generational curses from Luciferian cults, and all of you got them in your junk. Every one of you got junk in your trunk. You got some spiders crawling around in the back corners of great grandpa Ned, that freak.
Yeah.
Don't carry around his baggage no more. Unplug. And also prayers for breaking of unions from sexual soul ties, because every time you ever got into it, you got some spiritually transmitted diseases that come with it, and it doesn't go away just because you stopped. So shut that door, seal it up. It goes two ways. That's a two-way street.
Spiritually transmitted diseases.
Yeah, STDs, bro. There's a big problem. People should talk about that. That's the real sex education they should have given you as a child instead of the crap that they gave you. Anyways, I'm going to get lost.
I'm second point. Here we go.
But the main place that I do a lot of my posting on is at YouTube. Nathan Reynolds. That's my channel. The Linden Railroad. We talk about all kinds of topics like this. We also are really passionate. Permaculture. We talk about dragon's teeth. This one's for you, Tony.
Oh, for real?
You for real.
Oh.
This one's for you, Jack. You get a dragon's tooth. You betcha.
That's awesome.
That's for you, brother.
Thank you.
Real life. We'll have to talk about dragon venom and lizards and how they use it to poison people today. It's literally a consequence that he said for doing these sins. You're gonna drink the poisons of dragons. That's why people are literally drinking the poisons of dragons. We got to deal with all that stuff. But YouTube, TikTok, I think, is Snatched from the Flames. Rumble, Snatched from the Flames. Stuff like that. You can find me places. I'm not easily found on physicality.
Google them.
Google,
you'll find them.
There's some stuff.
Maybe DuckDuckGo him.
Anyways, live dangerously, bro. Bear up those bronze blades.
Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you.